Introduction to the Dawn of the Dynasty. The green dragon mourns in the holy flame of the archangels. The fire phoenix cried blood at the feet of the three-headed dog in hell, and the 10 halls of hell were submerged in the army of undead spirits. The fur of the mountain lord is cherished on the iron throne of the ancient castle, and the lonely Mo Dao Jia Shi launches a decisive charge. All the people share the same sorrow, and the Qilin bestows its head. Tianxia was in charge of the 3 heroic spirits of the Heavenly Dynasty, Shanhai, and Fengdu, but still couldn't escape the fate of being invaded by foreign powers. Guanye traveled through the night, wielding only the heroic spirit and launching a charge against the times.God, that is, the heavenly god. Only, that is, only on the ground. A deity is a heavenly god and earthly only. Chapter 1. Rain Alley, Mo Dao Jia Shi. You are listening at Novel Full.Audio. Qingming, soul-breaking rain. The rain soaked the Jiangnan water town of Hongdong County in the misty mist and rain. Guanye held an oil paper umbrella in one hand and a few things in the other. A steaming tray, a few packets of herbs wrapped in craft paper, and a bundle of books. Walk briskly in the rain. Brother Yi, are you bringing back the medicine? Encountered a familiar neighbor, stopped and greeted. Yeah, Aunt Zhou, are you going to deliver food to Uncle Zhou? Guanye had a warm smile on his face, and his gaze fell on the food box held in the woman's hand. The square and upright food box is covered with a green cloth to prevent the heat from being carried away by the cold and damp water vapor. Yes, I won't talk to you anymore. Go back quickly. The dark yellow oil paper umbrella briefly drew closer in the stone blue rain alley, and soon, it parted ways again. Guanye carried the things in his hand inside to avoid getting wet by the rain, and walked quickly towards the direction of home. Suddenly, there was a sound of armor rubbing against the long street behind, as if armored soldiers were marching in formation. Hongdong camp has returned from killing demons again. Be good. What kind of monster is this? It looks scary. This is not called a monster, it's called a hero. Why isn't it a monster anymore? On the side, there are ordinary people watching the excitement. Guanye stopped and turned back to the street corner. He put away his umbrella and hid under the eaves, looking not far away. In the shop owner, who appeared idle due to the rain, also stretched his neck, poked his head out, and looked outside. In the rain, a group of soldiers are marching towards us. At the forefront were 2 tall spearmen. Westerners have a handsome face, resembling a classical sculpture. The platinum Western-style armor emits a faint glow, with a spearhead and golden runes faintly visible. In the rain curtain, emitting a holy radiance. Behind the 2 spearmen were 10 Mo Dao soldiers. These 10 Mo Dao soldiers are typical faces of Tianxia people. They are also tall and brave, dressed in dark red tang armor, holding long Mo Dao in their hands. The sword light is like cold snow, shining brightly in the rain, dazzling people's eyes. Rainwater mixed with crimson blood flowed down from the sword, winding into a web on the ground. Obviously, it has just passed through a brutal battlefield battle. The smell of blood mixed with murderous intent swept along the street, and in an instant, Guanye seemed to be on the battlefield, with a sea of corpses and blood rushing towards him. On the side, the common people who made way seemed to have their throats cut open by murderous intent, and there was no sound at all. Guanye looked at the soldiers passing by in a silent queue without straying their eyes, and slowly exhaled the accumulated turbid air in his lungs due to holding his breath for too long. He is a traveler, currently in a seemingly ambiguous era of war. The commonality lies in the fact that this is also an era of invasion by foreign powers, the downfall of the previous dynasty, warlord chaos, and people's livelihoods, which is the most humiliating and dangerous time for the land of China. War is raging, and corpses are scattered everywhere. The difference is that this is a world with extraordinary power. The greatest manifestation of extraordinary power is the 12 warriors who have just walked past. These warriors are known as heroes in this world, but for him, there is another special name. The branch. That's right. The heroes in this world are quite similar to the units in the Heroes of Might and Magic series games. They all have nests, can be recruited, and even have similar power divisions. The two spearmen who led the team just now are very similar to the first-level branch of the Holy Church faction. The Spearmen. According to the name of this world, it is called Holy Spearmen, which, like the marksmen in the game, are all first-level units and belong to the Holy Church family. But the similarities are just a tiny bit, there are actually significant differences. For example, different names lead to different skills. However, the biggest difference lies in the fact that there are many new series of heroes in this world. One of the 10 heroes who followed behind the Holy Spearmen looked very similar to the Tang Dynasty Mo Dao soldiers. These heroes were called Mo Dao Jia Shi, and were the first-level heroes of the Heavenly Dynasty. The Heavenly Dynasty series is a unique collection of heroic spirits in Tianxia, named after the Heavenly Kingdom. In addition to the Heavenly Dynasty series, there are also two major series of heroes in Tianxia: the Shanhai series and the Fengdu series. In addition, there are Shintoism in the Kingdom of Fusang, Pharaohism in the Kingdom of Nile, and Rindong in the Kingdom of White Maple, among others. In this world, the nest is the source of power, and whoever holds the nest holds the power. On the contrary, the existence of heroes greatly increased the intensity of this world war. It is not an exaggeration to destroy heaven and earth in wars between great powers. I'm scared to death. Every time I see these heroes, my heart keeps beating and pounding. Isn't that right? But with the blessing of Bodhisattva, it's all thanks to these heroes that we won't be eaten by monsters. What kind of monster did we kill this time? It looks really scary. Guanye could clearly feel that the person beside him had regained his breathing. Following the whispers of the bystander, Guanye shifted his gaze to the flatbed car behind Mo Dao Jia Shi. On top of it lay a terrifying corpse, like a huge centipede that had been opened and pierced. This is the centipede spirit, one of the 4th-level troops of the Mountain and Sea series. It is skilled in using poison and has a small quantity, so the villagers cannot recognize it. Guanye also saw it for the first time. The reason he recognized it was because their family was also considered a farming and studying family in Hongdong County, with some roots. The carts were pushed by 2 heavily armed soldiers, dressed in raincoats, each holding a pole and cursing at Shuyuan www.zhaoshuyuan.com. There were several soldiers behind the two, forming a loose and limp formation, complaining about the bad weather. They looked like army thugs, without the appearance of elite soldiers commanded by the heroes in front of them. Obviously, these are all living beings. But don't underestimate these people, thinking that Mo Dao Jia Shi and Xingfu spearmen are like chopping melons and vegetables when they confront these people. In fact, the first-tier units cannot crush these ordinary soldiers. Often, 3 to 5 soldiers can deal with a Mo Dao armored soldier or a holy spearman. With more soldiers, they can even switch to 1 because the soldiers have guns in their hands. Bullets are still very useful when dealing with low-level troops. These soldiers and heroes all come from the Hongdong camp stationed in the county town. When fighting, they have to go to the front line and are responsible for guarding Hongdong County on weekdays. The sound of footsteps faded away, and Guanye withdrew his gaze, ready to leave. Young Master Shen has gone home. How about going to the store to sit down? The shopkeeper politely said. No, my family is still waiting. Open the umbrella and walk into the rain. Along the street, turn the corner, pass through the rain alley, and see a few red apricots crossing the wall. I still pity them when I see them in the rain. Crossing a small ditch and stepping onto a stone bridge, the water strider under the bridge, who was sheltering from the rain, was startled by the sound of footsteps and bounced out of the bottom of the bridge. It was then driven back by the ripples caused by the rain. Brother Yi. You're back now. Hurry up and take a look, those debt collectors are here again. A few ants chatting on the neighboring street had sharp eyes and saw Guanye crossing the bridge. Guanye's face slightly changed. Got it, Aunt Lee. The speed of oil paper umbrellas drifting in the rain suddenly became much faster. Chapter 2. Evil guests visiting the door. You are listening at novel full.audio. As they watched the green shirt gradually disappear into the rain, the topic of several ants naturally shifted to Guanye. This night, my friend is really getting handsome as he grows older. Isn't that right? Previously, I thought my older brother was good-looking, but he was a bit serious. I didn't dare to talk to him, especially after his father fell ill. I didn't expect it. A while ago, it was like a different person, very friendly. When you smile, it can make the young girl's soul disappear. I don't know which girl will be cheaper in the future. The sound of fragmented words was dampened by the sound of rain, disappearing together in the fragmented spring rain. After 3 or 2 steps, Guanye arrived at the door, but did not immediately enter. Instead, he took a flat breath at the door, straightened his long shirt, and then stepped into the door. Entering the gate, there is a screen wall made of blue bricks. For some years, moss can be vaguely seen at the foot of the wall. This thing is used to block the view of passers-by and serves a privacy protection function. It is only available in wealthy households. In this small Hongdong county, the Shen family is considered a prestigious family, but in recent days they have had bad luck and some of their families have fallen through. Bypassing the screen wall leads to the vestibule. Just as I bypassed the screen wall, a flower appeared in front of me, and a figure flew into the air. Guanye reached out and caught the person, seemingly awkwardly taking a few steps back, but secretly he released his strength. The middle-aged farmer who was beaten away saw that Guanye was the one who caught him. He was busy and concerned. Young master, are you okay? Before Guanye could speak, he heard a loud bang on the table. Bold. Wang Erlao, who gave you the courage to act recklessly in my Shen family? In the hall, Unsure, who was sitting upright on the Grand Tutor's chair, became furious and stood up clapping the table. Previously, her expression had always been indifferent. Even though these mischievous people wanted to enter the house to grab something, they remained calm. But now, seeing that mischievous people dared to harm someone and almost injured Guanye, they couldn't help it. Although Unsure is just a woman, as the head of the Shen family, she is well suited for living and maintaining her physical health. When she gets angry, she exudes a unique aura, to the point where even a few mischievous people are intimidated. Mom, I'm fine. Guanye quickly glanced at it and almost had a clear idea in his mind. In the hall, under the banner of Tian Jun's personal teacher stood Guanye's mother Unsure, with thunder brewing between her eyebrows. Unsure grew a pair of fine eyebrows, meticulously combed her hair in a bun, and wore a dark blue embroidered high-neck jacket and skirt. Under her feet were a pair of 3-inch golden lotus flowers, vividly portraying the characters from ancient portraits. Standing next to her was a young girl in her 20s, with a melon-seed face, big eyes, distinct black and white, and a hint of haughty heroism in her eyebrows. She had a straightforward and proud personality. The girl was wearing an indigo Western-style student uniform, and in the dimly lit hall, she looked like a blooming indigo blue cornflower. This is Shenjiju, the third sister of Guanye. At the entrance was a young man of 16 or 17 years old, who was very sturdy and had skin that was not as fair and well-maintained as Guanye, Unsure, and Shenjiju, but rather a healthy wheat color. With a small head, thick eyebrows and big eyes, the eyebrows and eyes are somewhat similar to Guanye, but the temperament is completely different. Wearing a white sweater, the muscles on the arms are obvious. The young man was stopped by a middle-aged man, with a clear expression of anger on his face, as if he was about to hit someone. This is Guanye's younger brother, Guanyu. There were 3 servants, 2 male servants, and a middle-aged man who had just been caught by him inside and outside the hall, totaling 6 people. 3 servants were all elderly women in their 40s, and 2 male servants were 1 young and 1 old. The 6 of them are all long-term employees of the Shen family. Since the fall of the previous dynasty, in order to keep up with the world of freedom and equality, Tianxia has banned the adoption of slaves. However, servants and long-term workers are essentially similar, they just have a different name. The one called Wang Erlao by ensure is a mischievous leader. He has a mangy head, big and small eyes, and a very fierce appearance. Although his figure is not tall, he is very sturdy, fat and sturdy, and at first glance, he is the kind that can be beaten and carried. This person is a famous rascal from Hongdong County who bullies men and women. It is said that he has several lives on his hands. Because he is a dysentery sufferer and has a second son in the family, he is called Wang Erlai. As for his original name, few people know. If the Shen family hadn't lost power, he wouldn't have dared to come and find fault with Wang Erlao's 10,000 courage. Now, he is completely fearless. Madam Shen, it's only natural for you to owe money. Your Shen family owes money, and we come to ask for it. Can this be called acting wild? Coincidentally, the eldest son of your family has also returned. It was him who borrowed the money back then. Can you ask him to explain this to you? Is this the right thing to do? It's really natural to pay off debts, but it's illegal for you to level dager, glutinous rice rolls with sweet bean flour. Shen Jizhu retorted with a smile in the hall. Finally, he couldn't help but glare at Shen Guanye. Shen Guanye let out a deep sigh. He put away the umbrella and handed it along with the things in his hand to the nearby long worker Uncle Zhang. Shen Jizhu's old dager, glutinous rice rolls with sweet bean flour, is not the kind of food, but a kind of usury. A term loan with interest ranging from 3 to 5. If the loan is not repaid at maturity, the interest will double and be included in the principal for further calculation, which is compound interest. Shen Jizhu glared at him because the money was owed by him. No, it should be owed by the original person. He has only been traveling for 3 months, and these 3 months have been spent cleaning up the mess for himself. However, his original identity was not a playboy with bad behavior, he was just tricked by others. The Shen family was originally a wealthy and virtuous family. Looking for the book garden www.zhaoshuyuan.com, Mr. Shen not only had the fame of a scholar, but also held positions in the county, making him a moderate official. In addition, the Shen family has been passed down for 6 generations in Hongdong County, with big trees and deep roots, making life very easy. Unfortunately, the situation suddenly changed, and Mr. Shen was injured by a monster, actually a wild mountain and sea-type spirit, lying in bed unconscious and becoming a useless person. Not only do we need to hang our lives with precious medicines every day, but we also have to go to the church every month to invite Pastor Holy Light to perform a healing spell. You should know that the Holy Light Pastor is a 4th level unit of the church series, and the price of treating it once is not low, and this situation has been ongoing for a year. So, the Shen family ran out of money. In fact, as early as 6 months ago, the Shen family began to sell their assets. In this situation, as the eldest son, the original owner naturally saw it in his eyes and was anxious in his heart. When people are in a hurry, they are prone to sudden illness and seeking medical attention indiscriminately. That's how the original owner was. The thing is not new, it's just a Ponzi scheme that starts with high returns. This trick made Shen Guanye easily see through at a glance. But how could the original owner, a half-grown kid from the Republican era, have such insight? In addition, this matter was introduced by his classmate friend, and the scammer did indeed give him extremely high interest money in the first 2 months, so the original owner would not doubt it. After the scammer rolled up the money and ran away, the original owner only realized that he had been scammed. And the money he was scammed not only came from pawning, but also from borrowing high-interest loans from Wang Erlao's boss's family. After learning about this matter, and was furious and directly punished the original owner to kneel in the temple. The original owner's health was not very good, and his father had been anxious and tired while lying in bed for the past 6 months. Suddenly, he caused a big disaster, and under the fear of self-blame, he died. This is where his journey began. Chapter 3. Debt Repayment. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Yes, it's only natural to pay off debts. I borrowed the money, and it's only natural for me to repay it. Guanye took a few steps forward and walked up to Wang Erlao, saying. Not only Shinjiju, Guanyu, and others were stunned now, but even Wang Erlao was a bit stunned, completely unaware that Guanye would say so at night. Master Shen has finally figured out how to use farmland or the storefronts on Shanyu Street to offset the debt. Is that right? I have reminded you before that the earlier you pay off this debt, the better. Otherwise, the interest rate will increase, and it will be difficult to pay off later on. Wang Erlai regained his senses and smiled. Just facing his fierce face, it doesn't seem well-intentioned. Finally, he glanced at Ensure sitting in the hall again. Just young Master Shen, can you be this master? The real purpose behind this group of rascals, or rather the owners behind them, is to cultivate land and pave the way. The Shen family spent all their savings and pawned the vast majority of valuable items in order to save Mr. Shen, but their fields and storefronts remained untouched. Behind Wang Erlao, the owner is interested in the Shen family's land and shops. Shen Jiju is anxious. Guanye, are you crazy? Where can the fields and shops be moved around? I don't need any land or storefronts. I have already brought the money, including the principal and interest, for a total of 10,300 ocean dollars. Guanye pulled out the silver bill from his wallet, spread it out, and held it in front of Wang Erlao, interrupting Shen Jiju's scolding. Big brother, where did you get so much money? Under the eaves of the corridor, Guanyu, with his tiger head and tiger brain, looked surprised. In the hall, Ensure, who had never shown much expression, also showed a surprised expression. 10,300 yuan is not a small sum of money. At the beginning of these years, an ordinary worker's monthly salary is about $10, and the monthly salary of a professor in university is only $100.200. If you don't eat or drink, it will take 7 or 8 years to save so much money. Although the Shen family is a prominent family in Hongdong County, it is impossible for them to spend 10,000 yuan at once. Unless they use their ancestral property. Mr. Shen is a small official of the county government, earning a monthly salary of 150 yuan. However, Shen Jeping's daily food and clothing expenses do not rely on Mr. Shen's salary, but mainly on the shop and rent. In equivalent, he can earn around 600 to 700 yuan per month, which looks like a lot, but the Shen family's monthly expenses are also large. It would be great if you could save $200 to $300 a month, one in and one out. If you want to save up to $10,000, even if you reduce expenses, it will take almost 2 years. Previously, she tried her best to raise funds, but she will only be able to repay the monthly interest of $300. Ensure had planned to mortgage the land to fill the hole for Guanye, but unexpectedly, Guanye suddenly took out $10,000. Where did he get the money? This is the money I invested in. Mother, I divided the borrowed money into 2 parts earlier, one was cheated, but the other actually made money. Guanye explained to the family. An instant flashed on Anne's face. If that's the case, then the explanation makes sense. At least half of these $10,000 are capital, and now almost half a year has passed. Doubling it in half a year, although it's still quite exaggerated, at least it's not a fantasy. Shen Jiju stared at Guanye with half a doubt, as if judging whether he was lying. Guanye was certainly lying. The original body did not divide the money into 2 parts. He invested all his money into a whole, except for the interest money he received in the first 2 months, which was $1,400, and the rest was all folded into it. Guanye's money has a different origin, but it's not easy to tell his family how it came from, so he can only lie. Fortunately, only Guanye knew how much money had been divided and where it had been invested. Otherwise, this lie wouldn't have been well realized. Wang Erlao took the silver bill and carefully glanced at it. His big and small eyes turned and he said, "Young Master Shen has great abilities and good vision. He can earn so much money in a short time. However, there is a sentence that young Master Shen said wrong. This is not money with interest, you still owe money. What's going on? The loan agreement you signed originally stated a half-month interest rate of 3 cents per half-month. Previously, Master Shen, you were overdue several times, and you still owe money. I owe your mother." Upon hearing Wang Erlao's obvious rogue words, Guanye didn't do much. Guanye couldn't help but let out a loud roar and rushed forward like a little calf, punching Wang Erlao's face with a straight punch. This kid has been fond of wielding knives and guns since he was young, and has even been taught by famous teachers. He doesn't read very well, but his skills are quite good. Wang Erlao was caught off guard and was hit on his face, causing his face to swell immediately. However, Wang Erlao was able to become the leader of the rascal, so he naturally had 2 brushes in his hands. Guanye's second punch was directly blocked, and the rascal on the side also came to his senses and rushed forward together. Wang Erlao had a fierce face and slapped Guanye. Although Guanye has practiced martial arts for several years, he has almost no practical experience in combat. How could a real sword and real gun battle be compared to a fierce opponent like Wang Erlao? Furthermore, there is a significant gap in strength between the 2 sides. It was with Wang Erlao's slap that Guanye couldn't even react. As Wang Erlao's fan-shaped slap was about to fall on his face, Guanye suddenly felt a force coming from the back of his neck collar, and he was pulled back a few steps. Wang Erlao's palm fell empty. Guanye loosened his brother's collar and looked at Wang Erlao with a cold expression. Guanye finally realized that it was Guanye who had helped him. He was just a little puzzled. When did his elder brother have such great strength to find such skills at Shuyuan www.zhaoshuyuan.com? Wang Erlao, are you going to have trouble with our Shen family? Guanye remained calm and questioned. My gaze is deep and serene. Wang Erlao looked at Guanye's deep and eerie gaze at night, and his heart inexplicably felt a chill. In his eyes, Guanye has always been quite bookish. Young, immature, and friendly in speech. The only person he feared in the entire Shen family was Mr. Shen. But now, Guanye inexplicably made a chill rise in his heart. However, this chill only flashed in Wang Erlao's heart for a moment, and then it swirled and disappeared. He wore a rogue smile on his face. Master Shen, look at what you're saying. How could I make it difficult for you to get along with the Shen family? How could I, Wang Erlao, dare to go with the Shen family? Even if I borrow a few bare-hearted leopards from you, I dare not. But that's the same thing. It's only natural to repay debts. At the end, the smile on Wang Erlao's face had disappeared. Under the gentle spring rain, the atmosphere in the front courtyard suddenly became solemn. The koi in the fish tank seemed to feel the solemn atmosphere in the air, no longer swimming, hiding under the lotus leaves. Okay. Wang Erlao, what are you going to do? The voices of Guanye and a middle-aged man echoed simultaneously. A middle-aged man walked through the screen wall, glaring at Wang Erlao and scolding. Uncle Zhou! Uncle Zhou! Seeing the newcomer, Shen Jizhu and Guanye were both impressed and shouted. Guanye also breathed a sigh of relief in secret. Uncle Zhou! Zhou Chongzong, a colleague and friend of Shen's father, served as the director of the public security branch at the county magistrate's office. Most importantly, he is a transcendent. Chapter 4. Family Members. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. In this world, besides the heroes, there are also various types of superhumans who possess extraordinary powers. In fact, the superhumans have existed since ancient times, and the heroes and nests were only born nearly hundreds of years ago. Around the same time as the Age of Discovery in this world. Here, the transcendent is called the Apocalypse, also known as the Apocalyptic Man. The Apocalypse masters vary in different countries, such as mages, swordsmen, knights, priests, etc. in the West, ninjas, yin-yang masters in the East, and bowing masters, witchcraft masters, etc. in the South. In Tianxia, there are mainly 4 types. Confucianism, Taoism, monks, and warriors, with further subdivisions. The Apocalypse not only possesses extraordinary powers, but also recruits and commands heroes. In Guanye's view, they are actually heroes of this world. Zhou Chongzong was a second-level warrior, and although Wang Erlao had a backing behind him, he never dared to act recklessly in front of a warrior. Sure enough, under the angry gaze of Zhou Chongzong, Wang Erlao sneered a few times and subdued. "Director Zhou, why are you here?" "I didn't do anything, I just came to remind Madame Shen not to forget to pay off the debt owed by Master Shen. I'm leaving now." "Wait." Shen Jizhu spoke up and stopped the other person, then succinctly recounted what had just happened. Her speech was clear, her thoughts were clear, and although she spoke at a fast pace, it was not too late for people to understand. Therefore, Zhou Chongzong quickly understood and his expression suddenly became colder. "Is that so? Wang Erlao, I hope you can figure it out. The agreed monthly interest rate has been changed to half-monthly interest rate, which is a fraud. Don't try to change the contract with magic. All we have in public security is to confirm the truth through means. Zhou Suo, maybe I made a mistake. I'll go back and carefully review the contract now." In the end, Wang Erlao finally succumbed. He has a backing behind him, but after all, he himself is just a thug leader, and he dare not confront an apocalyptic. Besides, this apocalyptic is also the head of the police station, and he happens to be in charge. In fact, if it weren't for Mr. Shen becoming a living dead person and the signal from his boss, he wouldn't have come to provoke the Shen family. A few rascals left in a gloomy manner. Zhou Chongzong then turned his gaze to Guanye and the others, smiled at them, and then said to an sister-in-law, "Let me take a look at Brother Shen. By the way, this is the wild ginseng I just got." Zhou Chongzong lit up the gift box in his hand. "I'll make Shen the good ginseng soup to drink then." Anshi had already stood up and walked to the doorstep. Upon hearing the words, he said, "Put it away quickly. I can't take such a valuable item." "Sister-in-law, why are you being polite to me? Brother Shen has suffered a lot of injuries and needs to take some ginseng and lingji. Hurry up and put it away. I'll go see Brother Shen." Zhou Chongzong said and stuffed the ginseng in his hand into the hand of a servant before entering the room. Anshi had no choice but to have people put away the things, and her husband really couldn't do without these things. Zhou Chongzong was busy with official business and only sat for a while before leaving. Guanye stood up on behalf of the Shen family to bid farewell to the person, watching them turn the corner of the alley before turning back to the courtyard. The air was filled with the fragrance of medicine, and the medicine he bought in the morning had already been boiled by now. The rain has also stopped now, and the remaining rainwater on the tiles occasionally drips down, splashing transparent ripples in the small puddles on the bluestone platform. These are the small puddles created by raindrops over the past few decades. In the restaurant, lunch has already been placed on the century-old Nanma table. There are not many dishes, and they are also plain and clean. The biggest meat dish is smoked and roasted, which Guanye bought. Sun Xiao is braised, and Guanye bought pork head and beef. Before crossing over, he liked to eat braised food, and in this era, braised food is abundant in ingredients and has been braised for a long time. All the ingredients are original, without any additives, and it tastes even more fragrant. So even if the Shen family is in trouble and has to tighten their belts, Shen Guan will still go to Wang Fugui's smoked barbecue stall every night to buy some smoked barbecue. Although there are many stalls selling smoked meat in Hongdong County, Wang Fugui's family has a unique one, and their business is excellent. They can't buy it even if they go late. Due to this matter, Shen Jizhu did not miss out on her. On the contrary, his mother didn't say anything. Shi never beat or scolded him. However, if you really buy it, Shen Jizhu will take a bite less. Shen Guanye, to be honest, where did you get the money? Investing is really reliable. You were just deceived earlier, but when you turned around, what kind of investment did you make? Why don't you remember? As soon as Shen Guanye sat down, Shen Jizhu said seriously. Although Shen Guanye directly took out 10,000 taels of silver before, he just dug up a big basket. Now this scene is so similar to before, and Shen Jizhu is really worried. Before Shen Guanye could answer, Anshe lightly patted her chopsticks onto the table with a click. Eating. Shen Jizhu was a bit unhappy, but he still closed his mouth. After dinner, Shen Guanyu went to wield his sword and gun. He was stimulated by Wang Erlao today and may have had a good time practicing. Shen Jizhu returned to his room. Dudu. Who is it? Third sister, it's me. Come on in. Shen Guanye entered the room, and Shen Jizhu sneered at him. Why, did you come here specifically to scold me? I dare not scold you, young Master Shen. Shen Guanye pretended not to hear and handed over the things in his hand. Third sister, this is the gift I bought for you. Shen Jizhu glanced at him unexpectedly and struggled to open the outer packaging. Where did you get modern inorganic chemistry? Shen Jizhu flipped through and asked in a surprised tone. This is a set of books just translated and printed by Tianxia bookstore. Not only is it expensive, but it is also difficult to buy. Shen Jizhu has long wanted to buy a set, but has not been able to achieve his wish. I noticed it when I passed by the bookstore this morning and happened to see it. Shen Guanye had a gentle smile on his face, and he was not at all angry because Shen Jizhu had stabbed him several times. It's not that he likes to have a hot face and a cold buttocks, it's just that he understands why Shen Jizhu has such an attitude towards him. Prefer males over females. Shen's father and mother are not considered incompetent parents, but due to the limitations of the times, it is still inevitable to favor sons over daughters. This can be seen from the gender and age of Shen Guanye and his 5 siblings. The eldest daughter Shen Jimei is 22 years old. Second daughter Shen Jilan, 21 years old. Shen Jizhu, the third daughter, is 20 years old. The eldest son Shen Guanye is 19 years old. My youngest son Shen Guanyu is 16 years old. Zhaozuiyuan.com. The first 4 children, each only 1 year apart in age, were simply gritting their teeth, holding their breath while giving birth, until they suddenly relaxed after giving birth to their eldest son. Later on, it followed fate, so Shen Guanyu's age was only 16 years old. In any era, pregnancy is an extremely difficult and dangerous thing, and Anshe, in order to give birth to her eldest son as soon as possible, almost continuously gave birth to 4 children. It can be seen how much she values Shen Guanye as her eldest son. It is inevitable to favor sons over daughters. Shen Guanye's elder sister and second sister are nothing, they are typical old-era women in the brothel. Even if they were treated unfairly by their parents, they never considered resisting. They are gentle, kind, and have a weak temper. They are very kind to Shen Guanye, who is obviously going to inherit the family business and establish a strong family in the future. But Shen Jizhu is one of the few women in this era who has a rebellious spirit. She is strong and loves to be sharp. It's normal to have resentment in my heart and can't stand Shen Guanye. In fact, not only Shen Jizhu, but also Shen Guanye could feel that even Shen Guanyu, the younger brother, was not very close to him. Because for his 2 sons, Shen's father and mother clearly value him more. Therefore, the 5 children of the Shen family actually have a subtle sense of closeness. Shen Guanye clearly has a better relationship with his elder sister and second sister, while Shen Guanyu is obviously closer to Shen Jizhu. Since he understood the reason, Guanye naturally wouldn't be at odds with Shenjiju. As a vested interest, if he still had a face of being obedient even after getting a discount, wouldn't he be despised? Furthermore, before crossing over, he also had an older sister, and their relationship was excellent. Now that we have traveled, we naturally hope for a harmonious relationship between our brothers and sisters. Guanye, who was originally young and immature, couldn't bring himself down to improve his relationship, nor did he have the ability to do so. However, he had a solution. Chapter 5. Divine Kingdom, Temple, and God. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. You've fallen in love with it. Shenjiju gave Guanye a white glance, although his speech was a bit of a shot in the arm, his tone still added a hint of joy. She was about to say something when a commotion came from downstairs. What's going on? I'll go downstairs and take a look. I'll go with you. The two hurriedly descended the stairs and arrived at the front courtyard. A young farmer covered in blood stains lay on a wooden board, surrounded by several senior workers from the Shen family. One of them looked at the young man, his lips trembling, and it was Uncle Zhang. What's going on? Guanye quickly bent down to examine the young man's injuries. The young man's name is De, and he is the eldest son of Zhang Shu, a long-term worker. He is very honest and straightforward. Since childhood, he often comes to help with his father when the Shen family is busy. When Guanye was a child, he went to the countryside with his family to escape the heat. He often followed De to catch fish, snails, and bird eggs. Guanye is very familiar with him. De is still vomiting blood, probably due to a broken rib and injuring his lungs. But what made Guanye even more tricky was that De's spine was broken. It goes without saying what it means for a farmer to have his spine broken. It's Wang Erlai who injured it. Young long-term worker Li Xilang said indignantly. Has Wang Erlai gone crazy? In his ear was Shenjiju's sharp scream. On the side, Uncle Zhang's trembling became even more pronounced. At such times, someone who was more cunning might have knelt down long ago, kowtowing his head and urging Guanye and Shenjiju to save someone. But Zhang Shuming was obviously honest and kind, so he just couldn't stop trembling all over, looking a bit confused. But precisely because of this, Guanye's killing intent was even stronger in his heart. He stood up, his expression slightly cold after the gentle breeze and clear rain. Take it to the clinic. Uncle Zhang, don't worry, no matter how much money it costs, my Shen family will take care of it to the end. With a snap, the honest middle-aged farmer suddenly knelt down, his lips trembling. De Xiao. Guanye didn't let him knock down this head. Hurry up, I'm the one who's implicated you all. Don't say so much for now, it's important to save people. Third sister, just follow along and let the clinic record the cost. Okay. Shenjiju doesn't have any nonsense either. The group hurriedly carried the person away. Guanye let out a long breath, which turned into a white practice in the cold air after the rain, like a vast expanse of sword energy. Guanye went upstairs and entered his own bedroom. Divine Kingdom, open up. He spoke softly, his eyebrows still lingering. The next second, Guanye's mind was too ethereal, and he felt as if his consciousness had traveled through a vast world. The colorful scene quickly faded away, and in the blink of an eye, he had already arrived at a dusty world. This experience is not the first time, so Guanye did not show any signs of panic. He looked around and saw a small dilapidated temple. In front of the small dilapidated temple, there is a low cypress tree that is half dead and never dies. Behind the dilapidated temple, there is a small mountain, which is also bare and devoid of any greenery. There was nothing else besides that. It was very desolate, and it was not an exaggeration to say that this was a dusty world. Looking around, everything was covered in a layer of mud and ash. This is Guanye's golden finger. After crossing over, he obtained a special extraordinary profession, or identity. God. Guanye walked into the temple, which was truly a dilapidated one. One corner of the temple had collapsed, and the sky shone down. The flying dust looked like several thin layers of white gauze. As a deity, he has exclusive control over a series of heroes called the God series. God, that is, the heavenly God. Only, that is, only on the ground. The deity is known as the heavenly God and earth only. Guanye's gaze shifted from the spider web on the beam, to the mud-sculpted, painted, and almost ridiculous statue of the deity in the center, and then to the dilapidated merit box in front of the statue. Although this dilapidated temple looks shabby, it has a function of defying the heavens. As long as the merit box in front of him is filled, he can obtain his first hero's nest. The first level hero of the God series. After 3 months of hard work, the merit box is almost filled. Once he obtains the hero's nest, he can become the Apocalypse Lord and his status soars. In this world, those who possess extraordinary powers and are able to recruit and command heroes are called apocalypses. The person who can conquer the nest and become the owner of the nest by contract is called the Apocalypse Lord. The Apocalyptic Lord is a higher level existence than the Apocalyptic one. Even a beggar, once he becomes the Apocalypse Lord, his status will soar in place. Although Guanye still doesn't know what his divine first-level unit will be, at least if the unit's nest appears, their current predicament in the Shen family will be easily resolved. Not only will the predicament be resolved, but their status can also soar upwards. But Guanye didn't want to wait anymore. Will returns, Guanye returns to his familiar room, and the faint fragrance of ancient wooden furniture once again lingers on his nose. He pulled out a box from the bed, opened it, took out something from inside, and put it on his face. It is a ferocious yet majestic Yanluo mask. Edict. Ghost-faced Yanluo. Edict. Invisible and invisible. Edict. Phantom of the double. Accompanied by whispers, Guanye's body was shimmering with black light like ripples of water, and soon his green shirt had turned into a black robe. Immediately after, the figure faded away. At the same time, another Guanye appeared and created a sensation by searching for Shuyuan www.zhaoshuyuan.com. The imperial decree states that one's body is like a flying swallow. Accompanied by an edict, people have flown out of the window. Guanye was like a light flying swallow, flying expressionlessly on the roof, emitting a cold killing intent all over his body, like cold iron. He was very clear that zhang-De was implicated by his family. With so many parents working for him, why didn't Wang Erlao go and beat someone else's son, but instead went and beat Uncle Zhang's son? It's because Uncle Zhang was the only one who rushed forward to help the Shen family just now. His purpose was to let people know that anyone who wants to help the Shen family must think about the consequences. He just wants to shoot the bird in the head, kick the face of the Shen family hard into the mud and into the cesspool. Any descendant of a noble family who encounters such a situation cannot escape anger. As a modern person who has traveled through time, Guanye, compared to the anger of his family's face being fiercely trampled on by a scoundrel, is more angry about Zhang Da's experience. Zhang, an honest farmer, has always been diligent, working diligently in the field. Suddenly, he was beaten by a coward like Wang Erlao, and even his spine was broken. From then on, he may only be able to lie in bed. Who did he find to provoke? Why should someone like Wang Erlao step on their head, defecate and pee, and have to swallow their anger? What is this truth? Guanye couldn't bear it. Not to mention that zhang-De was implicated by the Shen family in this calamity, he was someone who had nothing to do with him. If he knew about such injustice, he would also stand out. Along the way, Guanye passed by many people, but everyone turned a blind eye to him, unaware that someone was flying over his head. In the end, Guanye came to a mansion with a small garden. Chapter 6. Ghost-faced Yanluo, Ancient Sword Boy. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. On the lounge chair in the main room, after having lunch and taking a cold shower, Wang Erlao, who had washed away his blood stains, was taking a nap. This house originally belonged to a wealthy family in Hongdong County, but its backwardness was taken over by Wang Erlao through clever means. Wang Erlao has been poor since childhood and was a well-known scoundrel from afar. He ate, drank, gambled, and possessed all 5 poisons. Nowadays, as I get older, I have become a gangster leader, and my subordinates have gathered a group of mischievous thugs. Kill and watch, do all evil deeds. But now in this world, it's just that villains like him have a better chance of survival. The livelihood of honest families is becoming increasingly difficult, but the days of villains and rascals are actually becoming more prosperous. No, he's just a scoundrel who can live in such a good house. It can only be said that the heavens are blind. Who wouldn't secretly spit at Wang Erlao's house when the nearby neighbors passed by? But I dare not speak up and feel angry. Half asleep and half awake, Wang Erlao suddenly woke up with a startle. I quickly glanced around and found no abnormalities. After realizing it was a false alarm, Wang Erlao grabbed the nearby kettle and gulped a few mouthfuls before getting up. For some reason, he felt inexplicably flustered in his heart. He plans to visit Baolong Bank. Wang Erlao is a mischievous person, and the biggest reason why he has achieved what he is today is that he has set foot with Baolong Bank. This Baolong Bank is a well-known bank in the world, rich enough to rival the country and with a profound background. Wang Erlao is just a thug in the small county town of Hongdong County where Baolong Bank operates. He has gone to heaven like a chicken and a dog, let alone the terrifying power of the entire Baolong Bank. If it weren't for this, Wang Erlao wouldn't have the courage to provoke the Shen family. A family like the Shen family, even if something goes wrong and they fall into trouble, under normal circumstances, it's not someone like him who can handle it. Wang Erlao felt inexplicably uneasy in his heart, and subconsciously wanted to find a safe place to strengthen his courage. And for him, where else is safer than Baolong Bank? Wang Erlao didn't believe that there could be any accidents or unexpected events at Baolong Bank. Thinking this way, Wang Erlao got up, but as soon as he stepped out of the door, he froze. At some point, a figure with black hair and a mysterious robe appeared in the courtyard, wearing the mask of the King of Hell. Who is Shen Guanye, who is not disguised? Ghost-faced Yanluo. Wang Erlao was so scared that he almost had to pee. Why did this killer-like character just target him? But he was born out of street fighting, and his reaction speed is not comparable to that of ordinary people. After hearing him scream, he immediately regained his senses and picked up the stool by the door, smashing it at Shen Guanye's head. Then, regardless of whether it hit or not, he turned around and rushed into the house. As he ran wildly, Wang Erlao's heart pounded as if about to jump out of his chest. He didn't expect this deadly killing star to find him. This, ghost-faced Yanluo, is a heroic figure who has only appeared in the past 2 months. He likes to eliminate violence and ensure peace. In just 2 months, he has committed several serious crimes. Those who kill are those who bully men and women, who are rich and ruthless. Because he wears a mysterious robe, a mask of Yanluo, and leaves a blood letter at the scene every time he kills, he is known as the ghost-faced Yanluo. This killing embryo has only appeared for 2 months and has already been feared by the upper echelons of Hongdong County. The Public Security Office has long issued a wanted order and a high reward, but has not been able to arrest and bring the person to justice. Guanye Yanluo is a common concern among the officials and wealthy businessmen in Hongdong County, especially those with less favorable reviews. But on the other side of the common people, the popularity of the ghost-faced Yanluo is extremely strong. The common people do not like the official title given to him, and secretly like to call him Yanluo Daxia. Wang Erlao is a thug who does a lot of dirty things in his daily life. He already has a ghost in his heart, so when he sees the ghost face of Yanluo, he is naturally extremely afraid. He walked through the room at the fastest speed, and a sudden surge of hope rose in his heart. It's blue sky and white sun now, as long as he can run to the street and howl a few times, there is still hope for his life. The back door was knocked open, and Wang Erlao was riveting hard, about to shout for help when suddenly his throat was choked. Just like a bald rooster with its neck wiped, its cry suddenly disappears into its throat. In the courtyard, under the magnolia tree, the figure of the ghost-faced Xuani remained as old as before. Wang Erlao was so scared that his souls were all gone. He had passed through the back door, but why did he run to the front yard? After running for his life, he unexpectedly returned to the starting point. No, he's closer to this ghost-faced Yanluo than he was just now. Wang Erlao turned around and wanted to escape. Although it was highly likely that he would pass through the front door and return to the back door, it was better to be so close than now. Imperial Edict. Fixed Body Method. Wang Erlao only listened to the ghost-faced Yanluo reciting words, and then he was pinned down. Fixed Body Technique. You are a Taoist. Wang Erlao was shocked and lost his voice. Guanye turned a deaf ear and walked slowly forward. At this moment, the side rooms suddenly exploded, and a dark red figure rushed towards Guanye in the midst of the splattering of broken wood. The cold blade light, wrapped in a crimson aura, slashed straight towards Guanye. Surprisingly, it was the Mo Dao Jia Shi that Guanye had seen in the morning. However, in the face of such changes, Guanye seemed to have anticipated it earlier and did not panic at all. Suddenly, a pattern resembling an ancient sword tattoo appeared on his right wrist, and the next second, a white jade-like light bloomed from Guanye's wrist. The childish voice rang out. Confucius said, "Learn and practice at the right time, isn't that also true?" The light dissipated, and beside Guanye, there was a young boy standing in the air, dressed in a white Confucian robe and holding an 8-sided Han sword. I only heard him reciting the Analects while sending out a sword. Haran's righteous energy erupted, and with a loud bang, it seemed like an egg hitting a stone. In an instant, what was knocked away was not an egg, but a stone. I saw the Mo Dao Jia Shi being blasted out, directly crashing into the wall, falling into the wing room, with his chest collapsed, and it seemed that he was powerless to fight anymore. One sword. With just one sword, Mo Dao Jia Shi was seriously injured. What's even more eerie is that despite all the commotion, the neighbors still didn't make any sound, as if they hadn't heard anything at all. On Wang Erlao's face, the smile of the successful conspiracy abruptly came to an end. Guanye looked at the ancient sword boy, who understood and shook his head slightly like a young adult. He knew that there was no second hidden Mo Dao Jia Shi in this house. Wang Erlao's home will have a Mo Dao Jia Shi, and Guanye is not surprised. Because in this world, spirits can be rented. That's right, leasing. There is a famous saying on earth that goes, when the profit reaches 10%, they will be eager to move, when the profit reaches 50%, they will take risks, when the profit reaches 100%, they dare to trample on all human laws, when the profit reaches 300%, they even dare to sell the ropes that hang themselves. This applies equally in this world. After being recruited, as long as there is no war, the heroes will not be useful. And there are countless wealthy officials who are not qualified to recruit heroes, but have a demand for their powerful military power. If possible, they are willing to spend a lot of money hiring heroes just to slightly increase their inner sense of security. What a vast and profitable market is this! So, when looking for the book garden www.zhaoshuyuan.com, Lord Tianxia and the smart people around them will think. Since there is such a vast market, and during non-war times, a large number of heroes are indeed useless and can only eat ashes in the warehouse. Is it possible to lease out the temporarily unused portion of the spirit? It is natural that shortly after the emergence of the heroes and heroes' nests, the leasing business of heroes emerged in the world, earning large sums of money for all sizes of apocalyptic lords. This is a profitable business, a true treasure trove. For example, the price of renting a Mo Dao Jia Shi is about $30 silver per month, which is equivalent to the monthly salary of 3 adult workers. It doesn't seem too exaggerated, does it? But it should be noted that Lord Tianxia only needs to spend 100 silver dollars to recruit a Mo Dao Jia Shi from the military building. The capital will be returned in about 3 months, and every additional month will be pure profit. So there are indeed many families that hire heroes as bodyguards. Previously, the Shen family had already hired 2 Mo Dao Jia Shi, and with the addition of 2 Mo Dao Jia Shi recruited by Shen's father himself, there were a total of 4 Mo Dao Jia Shi. This is still visible on the surface. In the dark, Shen's father also hired 2 mountain sparrow spirits, one for personal protection and the other for guarding the house. Shanhai spirit is a second-level unit of the mountain and sea series, with a monthly employment price of 80 silver dollars. The Shen family accounts for 1/3 of their monthly expenses. Wang Erlao's hands have been exposed to several human lives, and he has done more ordinary evil things. Can he not worry about hitting ghosts in the middle of the night? Moreover, now that he has money in his hands, it is almost certain that he will rent a hero to protect himself. Expensive, he cannot afford to rent it. Can't he still rent 1 or 2 first-level heroes? Chapter 7. Edicts and Orders. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. 3rd level spirit. What kind of spirit is this? Seeing the ancient sword boy slaying and overturning the Mo Dao Jia Shi with one sword, Wang Erlao was frightened and screamed in terror. 2nd level spirits definitely don't have such terrifying strength. Although 2nd level spirits are much stronger than 1st level spirits, 3 to 5 1st level spirits are enough to fight against a 2nd level spirit. In other words, it is difficult for 2nd level heroes to inflict serious damage on the Mo Dao Jia Shi with just one move. Only level 3 heroes can achieve this. Guanye glanced at the ancient sword boy floating in the air. This is actually Wang Erlao's guess wrong. The ancient sword boy is not a 3rd level hero, but a 2nd level attendant god. His apocalypse profession is called God Lord, and there are only 2 skills in total, but each skill can be strong, even to an outrageous extent. One of the skills is called Imperial Decree. It's the skill he has been constantly using since home just now. Being able to directly command the vitality of heaven and earth to obey oneself. 1 law is worth 10,000 laws. The effect of speaking with ease. This skill is extremely incredible, equivalent to a full profession dominance. As long as he wants, he can completely simulate skills that other extraordinary professions only possess. Just now, Wang Erlao mistook him for a Taoist because he used a variety of techniques, much like Taoist magic. The 2nd skill is called Imperial Seal. Having the ability to bestow divine titles, one can transform spiritually charged dead objects into deities and become their exclusive heroes. This special type of spirit is called Attendant Deity. Although there are various restrictions on the skills conferred by imperial edicts. For example, only after his professional level is improved can he deify. Each level can be used to deify an additional deity. For example, the potential of deities granted by imperial edicts is influenced by their original spirituality. And for Guanye, the biggest challenge is to find the so-called spiritual thing. After awakening the Divine Lord profession, he began searching for items that could be sealed. I have experimented with hundreds of things before and after, and ultimately achieved success on the family passed-down ancient sword. That is an 8-faced Han sword, passed down from the generation of Guanye's great-grandfather. It was given by the emperor when his great-grandfather participated in the palace examination that year. Although each person who passed the same imperial examination had one. From then on, this sword became the heirloom of the Shen family, constantly influenced by culture, and over time, it also gained spirituality. This sword was originally only held by the head of the family, but Guanye's grandfather greatly loved and valued his grandson at that time. He skipped over Shen's father and passed the precious sword to him. Guanye only realized after trying many objects that this sword could be sealed. After being enfeoffed by Guanye, the precious sword transformed into an ancient sword boy. Unfortunately, apart from this family heirloom sword, Guanye had never found anything else to bestow an imperial decree on. Whether it's antiques like family heirloom swords or things like century-old turtles and millennium-old trees that he feels are full of spirituality, they cannot be granted imperial edicts. But this still cannot conceal the incredible power of the imperial sealing skill. He can be his Yanluo great hero, well, making it impossible for everyone in Hongdong County to take him. The ancient sword boy has made great contributions. Ghost. No. Yanluo Daxia, I beg you to spare me a lowly life. Although Wang Erlao is a scoundrel and mischievous, he has never killed anyone before, and the crime cannot lead to death. Do you want money? I can give you all the money. Or do you want something else? I am willing to join you, and from now on, I will be your loyal dog under your command. Seeing that he couldn't escape, Wang Erlao began to plead for mercy in a mournful voice. He had made a special inquiry, and although the great hero of Yanluo was ruthless in his actions, he killed only those whose hands had been stained with human life. Either he has personally killed someone, or indirectly forced many people to death. Although Wang Erlao has also killed people, he thought to himself that the secret was hidden very well, and maybe there was still a glimmer of hope. Is that right? Guanye sneered and slowly took off his Yanluo mask. He is a bodhisattva with a heart, but he has no intention of causing Wang Erlao to die inexplicably. Is that you? Shen Das Ho. Surprisingly, Yanluo Daxia is you. Wang Erlao's face was full of fear, both startled and angry. He was completely unable to connect the thin, bookish, and even somewhat cowardly young master of the Shen family with the ruthless and ruthless ghost-faced Yanluo who was known for his chivalrous and righteous actions. Who could have thought of it? But on second thought, this is not entirely impossible. The Shen family has always been a family of heavenly apocalypses, from the generation of their great-grandfather. Their great-grandfather was a fellow Jinsher from the previous dynasty, who served as a county magistrate and was a fifth-level heavenly apocalypse. Although his grandfather was slightly inferior, he also passed the imperial examination and was a third-level apocalypse. When I arrived at Master Shen, although it was even worse, I had only been a scholar. But this is not because Mr. Shen lacks qualifications, but because shortly after he became a scholar, the previous dynasty died. Where is Mr. Shen going to pass the imperial examination without even taking the imperial examination? And this also affected Mr. Shen's cultivation, to the extent that his strength was delayed at level 2. Although the Shen family has always followed the path of Confucianism, it is not impossible for a family like this apocalyptic to have a way to make their successors become Taoists. Wang Erlao was filled with remorse in his heart. He shouldn't have provoked the Shen family. Shen Daxiao, Great Xia Shen, Grandpa Shen, I offended you because of my ignorance. But I can't blame all the villains. It's all the meaning of Baolong Bank. I can't help it. If you have a large amount, please let the little one go. The little one is willing to be your ox and horse. Furthermore, the people you killed before were all those with human lives on their hands. These people deserve to die, you killed them right. You killed them beautifully. But you have caused us common people to vent our anger. But the villain has never killed anyone. Shen Daxiao, you have always been enforcing the law impartially. You cannot break your principles for personal grievances. Wang Erlao has never spoken so fast in his life. If he hadn't been unable to move, he would have knelt down on the spot and slapped himself 10 or 20 times. Are you an ordinary person? Guanye felt a bit ridiculous. Of course I am I not an ordinary person? Wang Erlao smiled obsequiously, looking for the slightly cold weather at Shuyuan www.zhaoshuyuan.com, but a cold sweat broke out on his forehead. There is a saying. The use of propriety is precious, and harmony is precious. Your Majesty, this person is no longer able to resist. Can't we let him have a way out? The childish voice rang out. On the side, the ancient sword boy who had not spoken for a long time suddenly spoke up and pleaded for mercy on behalf of Wang Erlao. Wang Erlao widened his eyes and called him, Your Majesty. What does it mean? Is Shen Guanye going to become emperor? Otherwise, why would this spirit call him His Majesty? Is he crazy? Or have you just thought about being addicted to emperors? But soon Wang Erlao wanted to slap himself a few times. Why are you still concerned about this at this time? Hurry up and plead for mercy according to the words of this unfamiliar hero. Right, right. This young master is very right. What kind of gift is that? What's so expensive? Shen Daxiao, you have a large amount, so please spare me a dog's life. Shen Guan had no expression on his face at night, but he rolled his eyes in his heart. He is good at serving gods, but he just likes to keep saying, Confucius said benevolence, Meng said righteousness, all day long. It's like reading a book that leaves one's mind twisted and filled with unrealistic notions of benevolence, righteousness, propriety, wisdom, and trustworthiness. Like a young master, I can't even see him kill anyone. Another reason may be that the profession of God represents the heavenly emperor. The ancient sword boy always referred to him as, Your Majesty, and he never changed his name no matter what he said. Every time he heard the sword boy call him His Majesty, he felt a subtle sense of shame. He was also too lazy to listen to the ancient sword boy continue to talk nonsense and took it back directly. The white jade light flashed through Shen Guanye's right wrist, and the pattern of the ancient sword gradually faded away. Chapter 8. Unequal Hearts. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. In the small garden, Wang Erlao was sweating profusely. Shen Guanye glanced at the watch in his hand. Watches are rare nowadays. It's almost time. Shen Guanye thought to himself. Although the God Master profession is against heaven, the ancient sword boy is also very strong. But his current career level is only level 1, and the combat power of the sword boy is only comparable to level 3 heroes. In Hongdong County, there are 5th level apocalypses and 5th level heroes, which is far from what he can do as he pleases. He used to punish evil and promote good in the middle of the night, and it was the first time he was punished in broad daylight, which could easily be exposed over time. Wang Erlao realized that Shen Guanye was about to take action and suddenly shouted, Great Xia Shen. You can't kill me. I have never killed anyone before, and I can't be punished to death. Is that right? Shen Guanye suddenly pulled out a piece of paper and lit it up in front of Wang Erlao. Wang Erlao's pupils narrowed and he looked at what was written on the paper. Those above are all the people he has directly or indirectly killed. Cold sweat, straight out. Shen. Great Xia Shen, I. Wang Erlai stuttered to defend himself, but he didn't expect Shen Guanye to be able to find out. There were some things that no one else knew about besides him, and he had no idea how Shen Guanye learned about them. Isn't it? The ghost asked. Wait. Great Xia Shen, I know a treasure. Yes, a treasure. If you can spare me, I am willing to tell you the location of the treasure. Under the desire for survival, Wang Er's leprosy was as blessed as his soul, shouting loudly. Shen Guanye paused for a moment, which gave Wang Erlao hope for life. He hurriedly said, That's a tomb, I don't know whose it is. There are 2 ghost lanterns guarding it, and I can't fight it. I originally wanted to recruit a few more Mo Dao Jia soldiers before exploring. Shen Daxia, do you think? Since there are 2 ghost lanterns guarding this tomb, there must be something good inside. Maybe there will be even more powerful heroes. As long as you are willing to spare my humble life, I am willing to offer you the address. No need, I'll take it myself. Shen Guanye coldly interrupted the other party, and then without wasting time, he directly took action. Edict. Speak the truth. Accompanied by a decree issued, Guanye felt that the divine power in his body rapidly decreased, and the divine power pool became shallower, almost bottoming out. The level is still too low. Guanye thought to himself. He has issued several edicts along the way, and his divine power has been greatly consumed. There are not many edicts left to be issued, so we need to save. Where is the cemetery you mentioned? Guanye asked. On the shady slope of the third hill behind Shenjiawu, in the elm forest, said Wang Erlao truthfully, with an expression of extreme fear. He didn't want to tell Guanye, but he couldn't control it at all. Finally, he found himself regaining control of his mouth. What did you do? You. Imperial Edict. Sword and shadow. The cold blade light appeared in the yard, and the blade light and sword shadow flashed by. Wang Erlao's exclamation suddenly came to an end. Then he fell to the ground like an overturned building block, his head, limbs, and torso separated. Directly dismembered. At the same time, there was also Mo Dao Jia Shi who died in the midst of sword light and shadow. But his fate is much better than that of Wang Erlao, he just got stabbed in the heart. At the moment when Mo Dao Jia Shi died, the sound of imaginary copper coins colliding with each other rang in Guanye's ear. Inside the temple, above the merit box, a golden copper coin appeared out of thin air and fell into the box. Guanye reached out and touched the blood on the ground in the air. Right on the wall, killer, Yanluo also. Then he quickly retrieved all the valuable items he could find, including the silver banknotes he had previously given to Wang Erlai. Then, he drifted away and quickly returned home. After cleaning the rooms of Shenjiju and Guanyu, Wu Mama, the chief worker of the Shen family, carefully swept the corridor. Seeing that there were still occasional noises coming from Guanye's room, he stepped forward and gently knocked on the door. Young master, shall I come back later to clean the room? Jia. The door is opened. Wu Ma, you go in and clean up, I'll go out the door. Guanye left the door and walked all the way towards the clinic, but on the way, he was thinking about what happened today. Yanluo Daxia is the vest he started preparing early on. The money in his hand was also taken by the great hero Yanluo on his way to justice, otherwise how could he get 10,000 silver dollars? And the reason why he fabricated such a vest is partly due to his own grievances. Although it is a parallel world, in this era of this world, its darkness and people's livelihood are unparalleled. He had only traveled for a long time when he saw several tragic stories of poor families being forced to death, and that's even more in his memory. And the culprits only need to use money to alleviate the disaster, and they don't even need to pay. Collusion between officials and businessmen. Bullying men and women. Forcing good into prostitution. Invert black and white. Such incidents are by no means uncommon in Hongdong County. The more similar things he saw, the more angry he became in his heart, just like the anger of the Ming king, as if he wanted to burn himself up. He wants to take action to speak out for these resentful souls. After awakening to the god's profession, he did indeed have this ability. But the identity of the eldest son of the Shen family is too restrictive and can easily bring trouble to the family, so it cannot be used. In this way, it is natural to fabricate a mysterious, hateful, and cruel identity as a hero. The other half of the reason was that he had already realized early on that the debt owed by the original owner was likely set up by several forces working together. Zhaozhuyuan.com These people, seeing his father seriously ill, squeezed in like leeches and embezzled the assets of the Shen family. In this situation, the Shen family, including Guanye's identity on the surface, cannot break the game. If they want to break the game, they can only use off-the-plate moves. A chivalrous thief identity that is hidden in the dark and not bound by secular rules is obviously very suitable. Then Guanye thought of the cemetery mentioned by Wang Erlao. Since the cemetery is guarded by ghost lanterns, it is obvious that the tomb owner had a certain status before his death, and it is highly likely that he was an apocalypse. Because the Ghost Lantern is a first-level unit of the Fengdu series. Guanye planned to explore this cemetery, there might be something good inside. Coincidentally, tomorrow their family is going back to Shanhai to bury themselves. That's right, just so coincidentally, the Shanhai where the cemetery is located is the residence of the Shen clan. The Shen family has been passed down in Shanhai for 6 generations since moving to Hongdong County, with hundreds of members. Hongdong County said it was big or small, but Guanye hurried all the way and soon arrived at Qingxi Medical Center. This is the largest medical clinic in the county, offering both traditional Chinese and Western medicine, with excellent medical skills. In the clinic, Zhang Da's broken rib in front of his chest had been perfectly fitted, and his blood clothes had also been changed. It should have been treated with a sedative, and he was now asleep. "How's it going?" Guanye asked Shenjiju. The doctor at the clinic straightened the bones and had the clam girl administer a green jade and sweet rain. "The injury has stabilized," Shenjiju pulled Guanye aside and whispered, "however, his spine is completely broken. With the ability of Qingxi Clinic, he cannot connect and must go to the church to ask Pastor Xinguang for help." Speaking of which, Shenjiju's face looked a bit ugly. Chapter 9. Director of Public Security Bureau. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Guanye glanced inside the room. A delicate and boneless woman with clam shells covering her ears is treating a patient. Wearing a light green dress, it feels like a hidden green spring. I saw her holding the patient's arm with both hands, her eyes tightly closed, and her expression peaceful with compassion. In no time, light green raindrops fell. Just like the newly sprouted willow silk in early spring, brushing on the patient's body. This is the clam girl in Shenjiju's mouth, a second-level military unit of the mountain and sea system. Relatively rare, not skilled in combat but skilled in healing, it is a healing type of unit. As the largest medical institution in this county, Qingxi Medical Center has strong capital and can still hire several clam women as doctors. Wang's house, Wang Erlao's younger brother came to the door, and it was not surprising to see the door open. Few people lock doors during the day these days. Besides, who's not good for thieves to steal? Stealing Wang Erlao's house, why don't we go to the thatched pit with lanterns on? Looking for shit. The door was pushed open, and then there was a ghostly scream. Kill! Kill! The little brother was scared and rolled back to the opposite side of the street. Behind the door, a ferocious head stood straight on the ground, widened its eyes, and stared at the door with a face full of fear. Behind the head was the body of Wang Erlao, which had been dismembered in 8 pieces, with blood flowing all over the ground. On the wall, there were 6 blood words written. Killer, Yanluo. The smell of blood rushed across the street, making my little brother nauseous. The strong smell of blood was only a door away just now, the door was still open, and he didn't smell it. After the door was opened, it was 7 or 8 meters away, and the smell of blood was so strong that it made him vomit, which was obviously unreasonable. But the scared little brother didn't realize anything was wrong. The surrounding neighbors were startled and came out to investigate the situation. When they saw the death of Wang Erlao, they were all scared to death. It took a long time before finally recovering. When he calmed down, he couldn't help but feel a surge of pleasure in his heart. Wang Erlao is used to bullying men and women. Who in the nearby neighborhood doesn't hate him? Yanluo Daxia is also a famous bandit in Hongdong County in recent days. Although the methods were a bit bloody and terrifying, the ones killed were all wealthy and wicked people with fat brains and intestines. What should be feared are those high-ranking officials and wealthy businessmen, not these ordinary people. Can the common people wish Yanluo could kill a few more? So, seeing Wang Er's tragic death, the neighbors pointed and exclaimed in horror. But in my heart, I am applauding, and even there is no one who called the police. What kind of murder is this? It's clearly acting on behalf of heaven. That's it. In the end, my little brother came to his senses and called the police. The news of Wang Erlao being dismembered by the great hero Yanluo was like wings growing, and in the blink of an eye, it flew all over the county town. The reason for such a sensational effect. One reason is that the great hero Yanluo has already committed several bloodshed cases, and the sensation of serial homicide cases is definitely much greater than that of single homicide cases. Secondly, it is because this is the first time that Yanluo has killed someone in broad daylight, as he used to do so at night. The common people are hesitant to discuss how to deal with it, as the pressure on the security station is quite high. Wang's mansion. Zhou Chongzong looked at the pitiful and lifeless body of Wang Erlao, with an unpleasant expression on his face. His security officers have sealed off the crime scene and are carefully investigating inside the house. Maybe the killer didn't have time to withdraw and was still hiding at the scene. Although this possibility is very small. 6 Mo Dao Jia soldiers also acted together with the security officers of Tongji. Beside Zhou Chongzong, there were 2 heroic spirits dressed in blue iron leaf leather armor. 2 heroes hold long swords and carry long bows, both of whom are extremely tall in stature. The Mo Dao Jia Shi is already quite tall, 1 head taller than ordinary people. But the 2 blue armored heroes in front of me were much taller than the Mo Dao Jia Shi, standing behind Zhou Chongzong like 2 small green mountains. This is the Beiwei Jia Shi, a second-level military unit of the Heavenly Dynasty, with exquisite swordsmanship and skilled archery. Zhou Chongzong frowned. The ghost-faced Yanluo brought him a lot of pressure. Despite committing multiple offenses in Hongdong County, the police station did not even touch the opponent's hair. The person who was previously killed is not in his jurisdiction, and he is under less pressure. Now a new murder case has appeared in the area under his jurisdiction, and it is still the person who was killed in broad daylight. Just thinking about how much pressure he will have to bear makes Zhou Chongzong feel scalp tingling. At this moment, Zhou Chongzong caught a glimpse of a figure from the corner of his eye, and he quickly stepped forward. I'm so annoyed. Is this ghost-faced Yanluo all over? If I had known that being the head of this little bullshit security office was so annoying, I wouldn't have come. A young chubby man in a vest walked in with a yawn, his face full of impatience. Beside him, followed by 3 extraordinary heroes. One of them is obviously from the church lineage. Wearing platinum gold full-body metal armor with patterns of sunflowers and olive branches, holding a cross sword in hand, golden hair flowing in the sunlight. The other 2 spirits were draped in cloaks made of feathers and vines, wearing feather hats resembling owls, carrying long bows, and wearing slender curved swords around their waists. The momentum of the Beiwei Jia Shi was already extraordinary, but he was noticeably weaker in front of these 3 heroes. Obviously, the levels of these 3 heroes are all higher than those of the Beiwei Jia Shi. The Western Swordsman is the Holy Cross Swordsman, a 5th-level unit of the Holy Church. The hero dressed up by the Mountain Forest Hunter is the Mountain Owl Feather Guard, a 4th-level military unit of the Heavenly Dynasty, with the ability to fly at low altitudes. Behind the fat man, there were also many security officers and Mo Dao Jia Shi, including 2 other branch directors. Upon hearing this, many people lowered their heads and didn't know what to say. The director of a branch office nodded and walked forward, looking like a dog's leg. Director, what you're saying is that we're useless. Thank you for getting tired. It's all thanks to this damn ghost face Yanluo. Zhou Chongzong couldn't stand his colleagues bowing down like this. He glanced at the other person, took a few steps forward, and began introducing the case expressionlessly. Director, here you are. The situation is like this. The deceased Wang Erlao had his head and limbs cut off, and at the same time, Mo Dao Jia Shi was killed. From the traces on the scene, it appears that the Mo Dao Jia Shi was the first to launch a surprise attack, but was instantly killed with a single sword. This young chubby man is none other than the director of the Hongdong County Public Security Bureau, named Xie Chang'an. Because he is short and fat, he is privately called Xie Fatty. He is not average fat, only about 1.6 meters tall, but his weight is close to 200 pounds. She is also a person who worships foreign things, with a slick hair, leather shoes, and a vest wrapped around her round belly, almost pushing the buttons up. Xia Pengzi himself has little ability and is a typical playboy. The reason why he was able to sit in the position of director of the Hongdong County Public Security Bureau at a young age is entirely because he is the younger brother of the 13th and of the Hongdu governor. The position of director of the County Public Security Bureau is equivalent to that of a county magistrate before the end of the dynasty. Zhaoshuyuan.com in a county, it is a top important position with a requirement for strength, and at least it must be a 4th level apocalypse person. The samurai path is more common, and there are also a few Confucian paths. And for counties like Hongdong County, which are under the jurisdiction of provincial capitals, the strength requirements for the director of the Public Security Office are even higher, and they must be a 5th level apocalypse. Xie Chang'an is certainly not a 5th level apocalypse, he is just a 1st level warrior. This was forcibly awakened by Governor Hong at a considerable cost. Xia Pengzi also knew that his strength was poor and he was afraid of death, so he always had at least 2 mountain owl feather guards accompany him when traveling. This mountain owl feather guard is a hero equipped by the Hongdong County Public Security Bureau. There are only 4 in total, which belong to the public property. Even so, Xia Pengzi still feels that it's not safe enough. Therefore, in addition to the 2 mountain owl feather guards, they will also have the Holy Cross swordsman personally protect them and carry them wherever they go. This Holy Cross swordsman is not a hero of the security station, but a personal guard of Xia Pengzi. Where are you asking from? It was naturally given by my brother.In.Law. It should be said that although Xia Pengzi has no abilities other than nepotism, he has a strong ability to save his life. In the entire Hongdong County, apart from Xia Pengzi, only the county magistrate and the commander of the Hongdong camp can have 5th level heroes as bodyguards. A useless person like Xie Chang'an would never have been able to become the director of the Public Security Bureau, but who made him the brother.In.Law of Governor Hong. This kind of thing has never been new since ancient times. So, even though Zhou Chongzong looked down upon the other party from the bottom of his heart, he had to show respect on the surface. This fat Xia has a very small heart. If he sees that he looks down on him, there is a way to deal with you well. Chapter 10. Young Master, our poor lives are not worth that much money. You are listening at Novel Full.Audio. Wan Small Garden. Zhou Chongzong quickly introduced the case, while Xie Chang'an waved impatiently. Don't listen to this nonsense, I just want to know when I can catch this damn ghost-faced Yanluo. This. No one present is willing to give a precise answer, and no one dares to give it. This ghost-faced Yanluo has appeared and disappeared, and has already killed several landlords and bullies in a row. If we could catch it, we would have caught it long ago. We couldn't wait until today. In the end, Zhou Chongzong gritted his head and said, Master, this ghost-faced Yanluo possesses both noble righteousness and Taoist magic. He is either not alone or a legendary carefree warrior. Regardless of which one he is, it is difficult to deal with. Xiaoyao Shi. What kind of thing is this? Zhou Chongzong and the other 2 branch directors were somewhat speechless. Although I know that Director Xia is uneducated and inexperienced, it is unexpected for everyone to reach such a level of uneducation and inexperience. I don't even know the basic knowledge of the extraordinary world. In the end, the branch director who had previously nodded and bowed to flatter Xie Chang'an spoke up and explained. Director, this Xiaoyao Shi is a special type of apocalypse profession in archangels. It combines the abilities of both Confucianism and Taoism, making it much stronger than ordinary apocalypse professions. This person's surname Zhang is called Zhang Sun. He is one of the 3 branch directors of Hongdong County Public Security Bureau, and also the most licking one. Xie Chang'an has a bad temper and likes to put on airs, but he is willing to give some face to Zhang Sun, the branch head who licks him the most comfortably. Upon hearing this, he didn't get angry, but gestured for him to continue speaking. Director, whether Ghost-Face Yanluo is a carefree warrior or not, this case is very tricky. What I mean is, Director Zhang carefully observed Xie Pengzi's expression. Director, please give your family a call and ask your sister to think of a way to invite an expert to come and help. Xie Pengzi stared, wanting to get angry. Director, when you think about it, the case of Ghost-Face Yanluo may seem like a headache-inducing task, but on the other hand, it's also an opportunity. An opportunity to impress General Hong with your admiration. What do you think? With such a big and difficult case being handled by you, isn't the Shui trying to impress you? Xie Pengzi's squinted eyes lit up. Although he is not capable, he knows very well who gave him the prestige and wealth that their family has today. He may not care about other things, but he cannot be indifferent to his brother.In.Law Hongdeshui. Although this brother.In.Law's age is more than enough to be his father. You're right. Let's go back to the office, I'll call my sister right away. Guanye didn't know that Xie Pengzi was planning to hire experts from the provincial city to solve the case. If he knew, his mood would never be as relaxed as it is now. Third sister, big brother, Uncle Zhang, do you know that Wang Erlao was killed by the great Xia Yanluo? Guanye rushed into the Qingxi Medical Center like a firecracker, his face full of excitement and admiration. This kid has been regarded as an idol since the appearance of the Yanluo hero. Really? Did the great hero Yanluo take action again? Has Wang Erlao died? Several voices rang out simultaneously, including those of Shinjiju, other patients and their families in the clinic, and medical staff in the clinic. Well done. Wang Erlao, this bad and purulent thing, should have died a long time ago. Soon, the surprise turned into praise from the great hero Yanluo and cursing at Wang Erlao. What's going on? Guanye asked. Guanye recounted the details of the incident with an excited expression. After practicing boxing in the martial arts school, he heard the news and learned about Zhang Da's injury. He rushed over quickly. After listening, Guanye took a deep breath and a slightly pleased expression appeared on his face. He said, if you do anything unjust, you will die on your own. Then he stopped talking. If you say more, this play will pass. Now, it's almost perfect, in line with the character's character and current mood. Guanye felt that he had a decent grasp of the play. On the side, Uncle Zhang's face showed an excited expression of revenge. But his gaze fell on his son lying on the wooden board, and he couldn't help but show a worried expression. Guanye noticed his expression. Uncle Zhang, don't worry. I will definitely cure Brother Zhang's waist, and in a few days, the pastor of the church's holy light will come to his door. In this way, Brother Zhang won't go back either. He'll stay at the Shen family. When the pastor comes to his door, I'll ask him to treat Brother Zhang once. Uncle Zhang's dark face showed a touch of emotion, but his mouth moved and he refused Guanye. Young master, I know you have a kind heart, but it's not worth asking the holy light pastor of the church to heal you for my son's sake. Then, the honest farmer looked at his son with painful eyes. Just lie in bed for a lifetime, that's his fate. He knew how difficult the Shen family had been these days. In order to save the master, the Shen family had already been smashing pots and selling iron. Next, he was afraid that they would have to sell their land. If his son's waist only needs to be treated by Pastor Holy Light once or twice, then he will grit his teeth and agree. But once or twice is not enough. He didn't fail to understand the doctor's words just now. He needs to seek treatment from Pastor Xinguang at least 17 or 18 times. This will cost too much money. How could the lives of the poor be worth so much money? The Shen family is already the top leader, so he can't be so greedy when looking for Shuyuan www.zhaoshuyuan.com. On the side, Shenjiju and Guanye both hesitated to speak. Guanye, however, did not have so many concerns. As a modern person, his moral values did not allow him to belittle Zhang Da's life and suffering. "Don't say so much, I will find a way to deal with the money." Shen Guanye's words blocked Uncle Zhang's desire to continue refusing. Shen's house, master bedroom, and Shi served her husband and drank medicine. In the room, there was a lingering smell of traditional Chinese medicine. This is the odor that has been accumulated from taking medicine all year round, which cannot be dissipated, as if it has penetrated into the wood. Mr. Shen Shenghui, lying in bed, had his eyes tightly closed and his face peaceful. He should have been a top-notch handsome man when he was young, and even in middle age, one can still see the gentlemanly and handsome demeanor of his youth. To put it in the popular words online before Shen Guanye's time travel, he is a middle-aged and beautiful uncle. Although he has been bedridden for half a year, Shen Shenghui in front of him cannot see any signs of a patient. Lying in bed looks like sleeping. This is the result of the careful care of the Shen family. Inviting Pastor Xinguang to come for treatment once a month, and hanging his life with precious medicine every day, making it difficult to look haggard. If it were a poor family, the grass on the grave would be 3 zhang tall long ago. There is only one disease in this world, and that is poverty. This principle is the same in any world. However, even with the Shen family's financial background, it is still somewhat difficult to persevere until now, and Shen Shenghui still doesn't know when he will wake up. So even though Shen Guanye had already filled the hole he had dug and had a profitable business, the entire Shen family still did not feel relaxed. Except for Shen Guanye.